Today, we're going deep underground to explore the Minsk Metro. But listen, this isn't just a story about getting from point A to point B in Belarus's capital. Oh no, this is a journey into a living, breathing piece of Soviet history. It's a symbol of a city that refused to die, and it's truly the heartbeat that keeps modern Minsk moving.
Okay, so first up, I'm just going to throw a number at you. 870,000. Just let that sink in for a second. What do you think that could possibly represent for a city's metro system?
That's how many people ride this thing. Every single day. Almost a million journeys. I mean, we're not just talking about convenience here. This is the city's lifeblood. It's essential artery pumping people to work, to school, to home. It just goes to show how incredibly vital this network really is.
So a number that huge, it just makes you wonder, right? How did this system even happen? Well, to get that answer, we've got to dive back into the city's really dramatic 20th century history. A story of complete and utter devastation, a Soviet-style rebirth, and just some incredible ambition. But you know what? Before we dig into all that history, let's get a quick snapshot of the system as it stands today. Here are the core numbers that make the whole thing tick. Just think about the efficiency for a moment. We're talking about just 2 lines and 29 stations making up the entire backbone of the capital's public transport. But here's the stat that absolutely blew my mind. The city of Minsk generates almost half, 46%, of the entire country's economy. So this metro, it's not just moving people around, it's literally powering the national economy. That's huge. Okay, so now let's jump in the time machine, because the story of the Minsk Metro, it doesn't start with blueprints or digging tunnels. It starts in the rubble of World War II. I want you to try and imagine a city that's been almost completely wiped off the map. That was Minsk. So the rebuilding effort that followed was just monumental. They created a brand new city full of grand Stalinist architecture. You know, those vast, imposing structures and these massive, wide avenues designed for parades. The whole city was built on a scale that was practically screaming for a metro system one day. But here's the thing about the USSR. You couldn't just decide you wanted a metro. Nope. There was a rule, a mandate that came straight from Moscow. Your city had to earn it. And you earned it by hitting a magic number, 1 million people. This was basically a tool for centralized planning, sure, but it was also a huge symbol of prestige. Hitting that million-person mark meant your city had finally arrived. It was a true Soviet metropolis, worthy of its own subway. So, after decades of rebuilding and growing, Minsk finally, in 1972, hit its target. They did it. Construction kicked off 5 years later, and then, in 1984, the dream became a reality. The first train started rolling, and Minsk officially joined that exclusive club of Soviet cities with its very own metro. Now, for decades, the entire system was really defined by its 2 primary lines. Each one had its own job to do, its own part of the city to serve. The first one, the Moskovskaya line, opened back in '84, and it cuts a path right across the city from northeast to southwest. Then, just 6 years later, the Autozavodskaya line showed up, creating this crucial intersection and connecting the northwest to the southeast. Together, they form this simple but really powerful cross that basically covers the whole capital. But here's the thing. Riding these lines is so much more than just a commute. So many of the stations are like portals, you know? They connect you to some of the most important historical and cultural sites in Minsk, linking your daily trip to the nation's collective memory. For instance, if you get off near the Nyamia station, you'll find the Isle of Tears. It's this incredibly moving memorial for the Belarusian soldiers who were lost in the Soviet-Afghan War. It's just this powerful, quiet reminder that the city's history, all of its triumphs and its tragedies, is literally built into the fabric of the daily commute. All right, so let's say you're there. You want to ride it. What's it actually like? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical stuff you need to know to navigate the Minsk Metro like you've been doing it your whole life. First things first, the price. And honestly, this is kind of amazing. A single ride is just 65 Belarusian rubles, which works out to about 30 US cents. And you just use a simple plastic token. It's so accessible and probably one of the cheapest metro rides you're going to find anywhere in the world. So, timing. The trains start running super early at 5:30 in the morning, and they go all the way till 1 a.m. every day. During that morning rush hour, you'll barely wait 2 minutes for a train to show up. But a little pro tip. If you're planning on being out late, just know that the wait can stretch out to about 12, maybe 15 minutes. Okay, this is always the first question every traveler has, right? I've just landed, now what do I do? So the Minsk Metro doesn't run directly to the airport, but trust me, the connection is surprisingly straightforward.
It's really just a simple three-step process. First, you hop on bus 300, which is right outside the airport. That bus is a direct shot. It takes you right to the main bus terminal. And from there, you are just a few steps away from the Ploshchat metro station. And boom, the entire city is right there at your fingertips. It's as simple as that.
But the story doesn't end here. Of course not. The Minsk Metro, born from this very Soviet past, is still evolving, still growing to meet the needs of a modern city.
Yep, you've heard that right. A third line is in the works. They actually started construction on it back in 2014 to add another vital artery to the network. This one will connect the southern and northern parts of the city, and it's even going to tunnel underneath the Svislak River. So yeah, the system is still growing, still adapting.
So when you really look at the Minsk Metro, you're seeing so much more than just tracks and stations. You're seeing the result of a city that just refused to disappear, a Soviet mandate that kickstarted its creation, and now a modern system that carries almost 1 million people into their futures every single day.
It kind of leaves you with one final thought, doesn't it? For any city, especially one with a deep and complicated past, you have to wonder, how much of its real story is written not in the big monuments we can all see, but in those tunnels, humming with life, right beneath our feet?